This is a silly, ridiculous idea for a video. How did we get here? What if I did a video where I chose one fragrance from each brand to keep? I guess that's how we got here. It is what it seems. If I could only choose one fragrance from these 8 brands, then these are the fragrances I would choose. That is what would come after the ellipses in the title, but we don't have enough characters for all of that. So with one choice per brand, which I'm sure many of you guys are feeling is pretty extreme, we need to be very considerate of some important factors, of some boxes that these fragrances check. And I've actually made this very simple. There's only 2 boxes that each of these fragrances needs to check. Number 1, true and utter enjoyment. And number 2, versatility, naturally. Let's quickly define these. What is true enjoyment to me? Well, it's a few things. Number 1, it's an uplifting wearing experience. It enhances my mood and it suits my personality. My wife enjoys this fragrance on me. That's a big one. And finally, I never regret wearing it when I spray it on. I think you have fragrances like this where every time you put them on, that first waft hits you and you are so glad that you decided to wear that fragrance, and more importantly, you don't wish you wore anything else. That happens every single time I spray these fragrances on. And defining versatility, I'll simply say that these fragrances work for most situations for most of the year. I'm not going to say each one of them works for every single situation I could ever want. Some of them will be better for the hot days than others. Some of them will be better for a more formal evening out than others. It all depends on the scent personalities of each one, but most of these fragrances straddle different situations that they can fit in, and really it just makes for a very versatile collection. The fact that they don't all fit the same notch, they are all somewhere in the middle, but in different places on that spectrum. So if I had a collection of just 8 fragrances, this could be them and I'd probably be fine. But don't get me wrong, this was not easy. And if you want to see more videos like this where I choose from other brands, then let me know. Let's dive right into it. Our first brand is Amouage. And this one was not that hard to choose. There's many fragrances I love from this house, but they're not all quite as versatile as Enclave is for me. Enclave may not be everyone's cup of tea, but for me, this is my pot of tea, and I'm drinking all of it. Enclave is a beautiful duality of fresh, spicy, minty cardamom. It is cooling, it is cold smelling, it kind of just cools your nostrils when you first spray it on. Very, very minty, very intense, and its freshness a little bit sweet, and it immediately starts to transform into this somewhat leathery, almost ashy, sweet, warm, resinous fragrance. I think there's labdanum in here, which really kind of takes over the scent as it dries. So it does work for moderate temperatures, even slightly warmer temperatures, and definitely for cooler temperatures. On me, it wears fairly elegantly, but I could see this being a fairly casual wear as well. So yeah, versatility is here for the most part. Enjoyment is absolutely here. I love this wearing experience. It lasts a long time on my skin and it has a beautiful development. And my wife really enjoys this one. She basically compliments me every time I wear this. I don't need to spray on much of it. It's a beast. Like I said, no more than 3 sprays usually is all I need, maybe 4 max if I'll mostly be outdoors, especially in the evening time. I think you can get a lot out of this fragrance if you love it. Let me know if you do down in the comments. If you haven't tried it, it's going to be links down below to this and everything in the description. But that is Enclave from Amouage. That's my one choice. Let's move on to the house of Nichane. I was between this and B612. B612 is a wonderful fougere, very modern, very unique take on the fougere genre. But in terms of enjoyment, I sacrificed a tiny little bit of versatility to choose this fragrance, but this one is still versatile. This is Papi Le Fico, not my first choice in the hottest weather, but I have other fragrances on this list that I would wear for that situation anyway. So as I said, if this was my collection of 8 that I would have to wear for everything, I have other stuff that works for those super hot days, but this still works great for a milder day, definitely works for the fall and the spring, and the winter is fine too, and maybe summer nights. It's a beautiful scent. I find it to be quite elegant smelling. I find it to be very gentlemanly, but at the same time kind of alluring and honestly a little bit sexy. This has gotten me some crazy positive feedback very unexpectedly out in the wild. But this is an aromatic fragrance. I do believe there's lavender. I do believe that there is cardamom, but there are some rich balsams in the base, like fir balsam, like styrax, and there's even a bit of oak moss down there. It just adds this warm kind of sweet, resinous, masculine, woody base to it that again makes it feel gentlemanly. The sillage in the air for Papi Le Fico is really where the magic happens for me. My wife loves it when I wear it once again, and it just makes me feel completely like myself when I wear it. I love Pape Le Fico, and this would be my top choice.
Boring choice alert.
We got a boring one here. And this is one that, ironically enough, was a little bit of a surprise for me to choose. I think if I had made this video like 2-3 months ago, this would not be here. This would not be the choice. But since getting this newer bottle, this updated batch of this fragrance, my love for it, which I've always loved this fragrance, has kind of been rekindled. It's kind of coming to life again, and I'm loving this scent profile once again. From Creed, I would have to go with the Ventus. I love several fragrances from this house, but in terms of enjoyment of wear and in terms of versatility, there's a reason why people love this stuff. And I love it too. I can't deny it. Yes, it's boring. I'm not going to describe the scent because that would make it even more boring. You're bored. I can see it on your face. So we're going to go ahead and move on. But that's my pick from Creed. It's a Ventus. This F batch is no joke. I like what they're doing with these newer batches. I like the metal cap. Just smells great. Moving on. Let's move to the house of Ormonde Jane. This was slightly difficult. I was between this and 2 other fragrances that are both wonderful and could have filled this role, honestly, but I had to go with this one in terms of these check boxes. This is Montabacco Intensivo. Man, this stuff, it works for every situation. I can wear it casually, I can dress it up, and it smells very stately and refined, but fairly understated. It is a fresh, herbal, woody, musky tobacco. It's a transparent tobacco, a little bit of bitterness in there from some citrus. It has this kind of airy muskiness to it. The texture of the scent is really what defines how it comes across when you smell it. It is a little bit sensual in a way, just in terms of its texture, but the scent profile itself, I think, is very sophisticated. But it can also be easygoing. Again, versatile here, and I just love the way this makes me feel when I wear it. That is Ormonde Jane Montabacco Intensivo. Let me know if you enjoy this one. From the house of Kilian, if this criteria was not in place in the way it is, this choice would be different. So many of you guys know one of my favorite fragrances smell wise and how it makes me feel wise is Straight to Heaven. I love Straight to Heaven, but it's not versatile. I cannot wear that in every situation. I cannot wear that year round. I don't like to wear that when there's any warmth at all. So that doesn't get the choice, unfortunately, for this, but I do happen to really enjoy this fragrance. It's definitely lesser talked about, but I do think there's still a lot of people who also appreciate this because it's a good scent. It's well done. This is Apple Brandy on the Rocks. And I think some people who have an issue with this mainly have an issue because of performance. This is not a strong performing fragrance, meaning that you're not going to get 10+ hours out of it. I don't think you need 10+ hours out of a fragrance for it to have value, even if you spend a lot of money on it. I think there's a lot of people who get 6 or 7 hours out of this and are happy with that. Some won't be, and that's okay. I guess there's no right or wrong in this, but my question is, what does it smell like and how does it make you feel when you wear it? When I wear this stuff, I feel kind of playful, a little bit seductive maybe, but also confident. There's nothing about it that is super youthful, that is super attention grabbing. I think honestly, it's performance that plays in its favor as far as versatility goes. This is something that I can get away with wearing when it's a little bit warmer because it's not going to get too thick and sweet and just choke people out or choke myself out. It stays kind of light and transparent. It is a dry, woody apple. That is primarily what I get out of this. It's kind of juicy. It's definitely a little bit boozy, and it's very dry in this like oak wood sort of way. I love the way it makes me feel. I love that I can wear it just about anywhere, anytime. And that is why it is my pick from Kilian, at least for now. That is Apple Brandy on the Rocks. From Maison Francis Kurkdjian, this was too easy. This was such an easy choice, and if you guys know my channel, if you know my taste, you know what this is. It's Gentle Fluidity Silver, a simple fragrance that has a relatively unique profile that is still very easy to enjoy, to understand. Some might call it a little bit mainstream. I can totally see that, but the way it's composed, it smells of quality to me. This is fresh and cooling with juniper berry, a little bit sharp, but there is this kind of sweet musky warmth with amber and vanilla backing all of that up. Maybe some coriander kind of adds to this almost cooling drink vibe, but it does not smell boozy overly. It does not smell like an alcoholic drink. It's simple. Once again, it doesn't change a whole lot on the skin. There's only a few constituents, but I love the overall experience that I get when everything comes together in the air. And strangely enough, this lasts a very long time on me. I can get all day wear out of it. It's a great fresh fragrance to wear when it's warmer in the day, and it leads perfectly into the night with a little bit more warmth, sweetness, and muskiness, so I can wear it anywhere, anytime. Gentle Fluidity Silver from MFK. This is easily the only fragrance from Bond No. 9 that I would pick because I'll be honest with you, Bond No. 9 is not one of my favorite houses. I don't love all their offerings. Sometimes they come off a little scratchy, a little bit synthetic, a little bit uninspired, but this one I do like. I do like it a lot. I've liked it for a long time. It's technically not super unique because it does resemble a fragrance from Ralph Lauren called Purple Label, but this one is called Bleecker Street. Now, whether or not they actually copied Purple Label, I'm not sure. We can't really verify that. It is kind of an obscure fragrance to copy, in my opinion. Who knows? People have their reasons, or it could just be a coincidence. I really like this stuff. I love the way it makes me feel, and it does smell relatively unique, at least in my collection. It is a green and grassy fragrance with this sweet blueberry and vanilla and caramel backing it up, maybe some woods. That's primarily what I get. A fresh green grassiness that's not super natural smelling, but it's still very, very pleasant. But there is this fruity and kind of creamy, almost gourmand like sweetness behind that green grassiness. It's a modest performer, so it's not going to overpower or be overbearing. I can wear it for any situation. It seems to work day and night. It smells fantastic in the air. Again, easily my favorite from the house. That is Bleecker Street from Bond No. 9. For our 8th pick, we're going to go with Tom Ford. Again, if you want to see more from this series, there's other brands I can choose from. But from Tom Ford, once again, a not very novel pick from me if you guys know my taste and know this channel. This is Fougère d'Argent. I had to have a Fougère in here. I didn't have a bona fide Fougère, and Fougère is one of my favorite genres, so I had to have one in this lineup. And this is absolutely one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite Fougère. I did a whole video about Fougères recently. You can check it out here. But this fragrance is a very modernized take on the genre. It is clean, relatively soapy from that lavender. It does have this woodiness in the background, a little bit spicy, but there is this sweet, warm, almost dusty like ambery feel that is what makes this stand apart. Something about the texture of this scent, how the lavender is backed up, it makes it again feel modern. It makes it feel kind of sexy, very grown up, very confident smelling. This is day or night wear. Again, maybe not my first choice for the hottest day out, but again, I have other choices for that. I could wear the MFK for that. I could wear Aventus for that. I could wear the Ormond Jane for that. So I don't need it for that, but I would still wear this on more moderate days or climate controlled environments. It's perfect. And because of its sweet, warm depth, I think it works beautifully as an evening fragrance. So I want to know what you think of Tom Ford Fougère d'Argent. If you've tried it, if you haven't tried it, I'll link to what I can find down below, but that is Fougère d'Argent from Tom Ford. All right, I want to know what you think of my choices. Once again, this is just 8 brands. I can choose 8 more if you want to see more. I want to know what your choices from each of these brands would be, whether they be the same as mine or would they be different, and why. And you don't really need to justify yourself because there's no right or wrong in this, but I do want to know what you enjoy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.